78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. If you're one of them, have you ever considered what your life looks like in 20 years if nothing changes?
Picture yourself 10 years from now. You wake up on a Monday morning and that familiar knot forms in your stomach before your eyes even open. You reach for your phone and see the notification. Your paycheck has been deposited. For about 30 seconds, you feel relief. Then you open your banking app. Rent is due in 3 days, the car payment auto-pay went through yesterday, your credit card minimum payment is scheduled for tomorrow. You mentally calculate what's left, and you realize you have roughly $200 for groceries, gas, and everything else until the next paycheck in 2 weeks. This isn't a bad month. This is every month. Your kid mentions needing new shoes. You tell them maybe next month, knowing next month will bring its own expenses. Your spouse suggests going out for dinner, just once. You shake your head. You can't afford it. A friend invites you to their destination wedding. You congratulate them, but immediately know you won't be attending. Marcus knew that feeling intimately. He was a warehouse supervisor in Ohio, 42 years old, making decent money on paper, but every 2 weeks the cycle repeated. His son wanted to join a travel baseball team, $300 for the season. Marcus had played baseball his whole childhood, but he had to tell his son no, not because he didn't want to, because he literally couldn't. That night, Marcus sat in his truck in the driveway for 20 minutes before going inside. Now, picture yourself 20 years from now. You're older, more tired, you've worked for decades, maybe even got promotions and raises, but somehow you're still in the exact same position. The numbers in your bank account might be slightly bigger, but so are all your expenses. Retirement? That's something other people do. You've barely saved anything. You start wondering if you'll ever actually stop working, or if you'll be that 75-year-old still showing up to work because you have no other choice. Your health isn't what it used to be. You need a procedure your doctor recommended, but the out-of-pocket cost is impossible. You delay it. You delay everything. The stress has taken its toll. The constant worry about money has affected your relationships, your health, your sleep, your happiness. This is the reality for millions of people. This is simply what happens when the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle never breaks. But the real cost goes far deeper than just not having money in the bank. There are hidden consequences that silently destroy your life.
Living paycheck to paycheck doesn't just mean you're broke. It means you're trapped in a system that actively works against you. The poverty tax. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, everything costs you more. You can't buy in bulk. You can't afford the higher quality item that lasts longer, so you buy the cheap version that breaks, then buy it again and again. You can't maintain the minimum balance to avoid bank fees, so you're paying $12 a month just to have a checking account. That's over $140 a year just for the privilege of being poor. Your credit score suffers, so when you need to borrow money, you get stuck with predatory interest rates. That car loan that would cost someone with good credit 4% interest, you're paying 15%. Derek learned this the hard way. He was a plumber in Texas. When his work van died, he needed a replacement fast. His credit score was 580. The dealership handed him a loan at 17% interest. Derek did the math later. Over 5 years, he'd pay almost $9,000 more than someone with good credit would pay for the exact same vehicle. That was his daughter's first year of community college. Gone, just because he'd been poor at the wrong time. The opportunity cost. While you're trapped in survival mode, opportunities pass you by. Your company offers a retirement match program, free money, but you can't afford to contribute anything from your paycheck, so you get nothing. Over a career, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars left on the table. A friend starts a business and asks if you want to invest early. You don't have $500 to spare. 5 years later, that business has made early investors 10 times their money. You're still at the same job. The health spiral. Financial stress is linked to high blood pressure, heart disease, depression, anxiety, and a weakened immune system. You can't afford to eat healthy. You can't afford a gym membership or time for exercise because you're working multiple jobs. When you get sick, you avoid going to the doctor because of the copay. Small health issues become big health issues. Studies show that people living in constant financial stress actually experience cognitive impairment equivalent to losing 13 IQ points. James was a perfect example. 51 years old, factory worker in Michigan. He'd been ignoring chest pains for months because he couldn't afford the deductible. He collapsed at work on a Tuesday. Heart attack. The final bill was over $40,000 after insurance. His out-of-pocket maximum wiped out his small savings. Then came the follow-up appointments, the medications, the cardiac rehab. If I'd just gone in when it started, he said later, it would have been a few $100s. Now I'm in debt for the next decade. The freedom you never have. Perhaps most tragically, you never have freedom. You can't quit a toxic job because you need the next paycheck. You can't move to a city with better opportunities. You can't take a risk on something that might dramatically improve your life because you're always one missed paycheck away from disaster. You become risk-averse in all things because you're living so close to the edge that any change feels dangerous. So you stay stuck, year after year, decade after decade. If this breakdown is making you think differently about money, consider subscribing and drop a comment below with one thing you're going to change this week, even something small. I read every comment, and sometimes just writing it down makes it real. Now, let's talk about why this trap is so hard to escape.
If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you might blame yourself, but the reality is far more complex. The income problem. Wages haven't kept up with inflation for decades. In 1970, the median home price was roughly twice the median household income. Today, it's nearly 6 times the median income in many markets. Your grandparents weren't necessarily smarter with money. They were playing an entirely different game. Lifestyle inflation. But there's also lifestyle inflation. Every time you get a raise, your expenses mysteriously rise to match it. You move to a nicer apartment, you upgrade your car, you increase your spending on restaurants, entertainment, subscriptions. The problem is that these increased expenses become your new baseline. They're not creating wealth, they're just creating a more expensive version of the same paycheck-to-paycheck existence. Kevin's story is almost textbook. IT project manager in Atlanta. Started at $45,000 a year, worked his way up to $95,000 over 12 years. His savings? Still basically zero. Every raise came with an upgrade. The nicer apartment, the BMW, the premium gym membership. He wasn't living extravagantly. He was just living like someone who made $95,000. If he'd kept living on his original salary and invested the difference from every raise, he'd have over $200,000. Instead, he had $1,700 in his checking account. I made more money every year and ended up in the same place. How does that even happen? Lifestyle inflation. That's how. The consumer trap. Our entire economy is designed to extract every dollar you earn. You're bombarded with thousands of advertisements every single day, all expertly crafted to create desire, urgency, and FOMO. Social media has amplified this to an unbearable degree. You're constantly seeing everyone else's highlight reel, their vacations, their purchases, their apparently perfect lives. Financial illiteracy. Most people were never taught how money actually works. Schools don't teach personal finance. You don't understand compound interest, so you don't viscerally feel the cost of carrying credit card debt. You make financial decisions based on emotion rather than rational long-term planning because nobody ever showed you a different way. All of these factors combine to create a trap that's incredibly difficult to escape. But, and this is important, difficult does not mean impossible.
Thousands of people break free from the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle every year, and now I'm going to show you exactly how they do it.
Breaking free from living paycheck to paycheck isn't about making more money, though that can help. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with money and implementing specific strategies that create breathing room, then momentum, then eventually wealth. Step 1. Get brutally honest. Track every dollar you spend for 1 month. Not what you think you spend, what you actually spend. Use an app, a spreadsheet, or even a notebook. You cannot change what you don't measure. Most people discover they're spending hundreds of dollars a month on things they don't even remember buying. Robert thought he had a solid grip on his spending. Electrician in Colorado, made good money, couldn't figure out why there was never anything left. So he tracked everything for 30 days. The final number? $2,347 in discretionary spending in 1 month. Not rent, not utilities, just spending. I was bleeding money from 1,000 tiny cuts, Robert said. I never felt like I was spending a lot because no single purchase was that big. Awareness changes everything. Step 2. Create a gap. You need to create a gap between what you earn and what you spend, even if it's just $50 a month to start. Cancel subscriptions you don't use. Make coffee at home. Meal prep instead of buying lunch. On the income side, ask for a raise. Pick up a side hustle. Sell things you don't need. Step 3. Build your safety net. Your first goal is saving $1,000 for emergencies only. This changes everything. When your car breaks down and it costs $400 to fix, you don't need to put it on a credit card. You use your emergency fund, then rebuild it. Once you have $1,000, build it to 1 month of expenses, then 3 months, then 6 months. Michael will never forget the day his Freedom Fund paid off. Sales rep in Phoenix, had been building his emergency fund for 2 years, finally hit the 6-month mark right before his company announced major layoffs. He was on the list. His coworkers panicked. They had no choice but to take the first job they could find. Michael? He had 6 months to find the right opportunity. He spent 3 months carefully interviewing and negotiating. He ended up with a job that paid $20,000 more than his old one. That emergency fund didn't just save me from disaster, it let me actually move up. Step 4. Eliminate high-interest debt. If you're carrying credit card debt, it's a financial emergency. Use the debt avalanche method. Minimum payments on everything, but throw every extra dollar at the highest interest debt first. Step 5. Pay yourself first. Once you've built your emergency fund and eliminated high-interest debt, automate your savings and investments. If your employer offers a retirement match, contribute at least enough to get the full match. That's literally free money. Step 6. Increase your income strategically. You can only cut expenses so much. Eventually, you need to focus on earning more. This means investing in skills that increase your market value. Anthony was a security guard in Chicago, making $16 an hour. He started taking free online courses in cybersecurity during his night shifts. 18 months later, he landed an entry-level cybersecurity analyst position at $52,000 a year. 2 years after that, he'd worked his way up to $78,000. I was guarding a building. Now I guard networks. The skills I learned changed what I was worth to the market. Step 7. Think in systems, not goals. Create a system where saving is automatic and effortless. Automate everything you can. Unsubscribe from marketing emails. Delete shopping apps from your phone. The long game. Breaking the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle doesn't happen overnight, but every month you stick with it, you get stronger. In 5 years, you could have $20,000 saved, no credit card debt, and retirement accounts that are actually growing. In 10 years, you could have enough invested that you're earning significant passive income. Or in 20 years, you could still be living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where all the time went.
The choice, as uncomfortable as it is to hear, is largely yours. The system is rigged against you, that's true, but people beat rigged systems every single day. They do it by making different choices consistently over long periods of time. Your life doesn't have to be defined by financial stress. You don't have to lie awake at night worrying about money. Freedom is possible. It's waiting on the other side of decisions you make starting today. If this video gave you even one idea that could change your financial future, send it to one person who needs to hear it. A brother, a friend, your dad, someone stuck in the same cycle. The moment everything shifts isn't when you learn something new, it's when you actually do something with it. The future is unwritten. What you do next determines everything.